Hi everyone, my name is Aditi Gupta. I'm a HSP coach, healer and a YouTuber, and today we are going to discuss about trauma and high sensitivity and understand what is the difference between the two. Many people confuse between having trauma and being highly sensitive, because trauma can also make you sensitive and more hypervigilant, but it is not the same as being a highly sensitive person. While I was researching for this video on this topic, I came across a video by Aileen Freund, who's a HSP therapist, and she was taking questions from the audience. And someone said that she's taking somatic classes, and the teacher is saying that he believes that all HSPs are created from trauma as early as inside the womb. Can you believe that people get so confused about high sensitivity? So let's understand and let's end this confusion today. I'll be covering what is trauma, how it is different from high sensitivity, what if you have both, how you can find that out. So stick with me till the end of this video and let's start. So first, let's understand the basic difference between trauma and HSP. I'll be looking this side because I have my PPT here, so I'll be referring that as that, and I'll also be putting slides here so you can also read that. So, difference of origin. HSP is an innate trait, while trauma is a response to specific events. Trauma is formed by a specific event, one specific event or a series of events. While highly sensitive person is by both. Okay. What is the focus? HSP is about heightened awareness and processing of sensory information, while trauma is about the aftermath of a distressing event. Okay, the scientific term for high sensitivity is sensory processing system. So it is about heightened awareness and sensory sensitivity, not sensitive because you have had a negative experience in the past. What is the difference in their nature? HSP is generally considered a personality trait, while trauma is a psychological response that can be debilitating. Trauma can actually impact your brain and emotions, like you feel weaker in your body. So it has physical and mental affect your well-being. Like trauma can affect your physical and mental well-being. Okay, let's understand trauma more. Trauma is a psychological and emotional response to a distressing event or events that overwhelm an individual's ability to cope, which can then lead to lasting negative impacts on their mental, physical, and emotional and social well-being. Traumatic events can include experiences like accidents, violence, natural disasters, loss of loved ones. It can also be caused by childhood neglect, and it could be developmental trauma as well. Individuals who have experienced trauma develop post-traumatic disorder, stress disorder, or PTSD. Sometimes they are able to process the trauma, but if they are not able to process it, it can lead to anxiety, depression, and PTSD, among many other symptoms. So, this is what trauma means. It is caused by specific events. People have flashbacks of the event. They are sensitive to certain numbers, names, colors, sensitive towards some people, so they can get triggered by some people, or sounds. So that is what trauma means. Why both get confused, like why high sensitivity gets confused by trauma? First, trauma can cause a heightened state of alert. making individuals hyper-vigilant and easily triggered, which can mimic some of the HSP traits such as sensitivity to external stimuli and heightened emotion. HSPs are also very sensitive to their environment, so they are also conscientious, they are observant, they so sometimes that can look like that they are more alert in social situations, which can feel like trauma symptoms. And because HSPs get started easily because of their heightened sensitivity, which can look like stress. Okay. And second is HSPs can experience some of the PTSD symptoms like pounding heart, being shaky, feeling anxious, sweaty hands, if they are in state of chronic overarousal or overstimulation due to their heightened sensitivity to certain stimuli and lack of sufficient coping skills. So when you have PTSD, you have all these symptoms, but they are caused by the stress of that traumatic event. But if you are a highly sensitive person, you can experience these symptoms if you are burnt out, if you are overstimulated. So it's a physical response. It is not based out of fear. Unlike in trauma, it is an after effect of that event. So it is based out of fear. It is like you're experiencing that event again. Because at that time, your body shut down and you don't experience all those emotions. Okay, so that is why they both get confused, because it can look like symptoms of PTSD when an HSP is overstimulated. And if they don't know how to handle their overstimulation, like when I didn't know that I'm an HSP, I used to get overstimulated in crowded environments and in social situations where I would be among a lot of people. But I'm not particularly shy and I'm not particularly fearful of people. So I would consider that I'm socially maybe awkward and I have social anxiety. But when I understood that I'm HSP, then it made sense because I was experiencing overstimulation, not anxiety as such. And that made a lot of difference for me. And I have different coping strategies, like I drink a lot of water. I always have a glass of water in social situations. It really helps calm down my nervous system around people because my body is taking so much of the external stimuli, energy of people and this. So you have to understand if it's a physical response or it is based out of fear. So that is why it gets confused. Now, highly sensitive people are more susceptible to trauma. Yes. Because they experience everything more acutely. Highly sensitive nervous systems are more finely tuned than those of non-HSPs. This means they respond to all stimuli in a stronger way, including traumatic experiences. HSPs are often called shy, overly sensitive in their childhood, which can itself be a traumatic experience, and those labels may come across as something being wrong with the way in which an HSP experiences the world. Many HSPs feel that something is wrong with them and they are too sensitive for this world. They feel too deeply and it's a curse because it's like you're all the time overstimulated. If you don't have right environment and right people who help you soothe you, and you don't have the coping strategies, then it can feel like you're too sensitive in this not so sensitive world. And like experiencing small traumas in our life is totally normal, and many people just are able to cope with it. But for HSPs, since they experience everything more acutely and more deeply, traumatic experiences can lead to PTSD, and many HSPs do experience trauma or differential susceptibility. This is a term which means that HSPs, on one hand, if they experience positive emotions such as joy and excitement, they feel it more deeply than a non-HSP. However, an HSP is also more susceptible to negative events such as trauma, as they feel more profound fear and hurt than non-HSP. That is why understanding HSP and trauma intertwine is deeply impactful. So this is called differential susceptibility in HSP. So if they have a very good support system and they are in a good environment, they can actually thrive and do really, really well in their life and even grow faster than non-HSPs. But on the other side, if they experience negative events and they don't have sufficient support, then it is likely that they will develop trauma or they can feel more stressed than non-HSPs because of their hyperactivity. HSPs, as I said earlier as well, are more likely to develop PTSD after experiencing trauma. Due to their heightened sensitivity and perception, their nervous systems are more likely to move outside of their window of tolerance. Window of tolerance is an optimal state of arousal of our nervous system that allows us to function and thrive in daily life and enter. So everyone has a window of tolerance, and on extremes they are overstimulated, and on one end there is boredom. So if you remain in between that window of tolerance, that optimal state of arousal is there, but if you move out of that, then you will enter a state of hyperarousal, which is flight, fight or freeze response. And on the flip side, you can also experience shutting down, avoiding or isolating, which is hyperarousal. So HSPs are more susceptible to developing PTSD after trauma than non-HSPs. Yeah, this is the downside of high sensitivity symptoms. And only you can say if something is traumatic for you. Well, we define trauma as anything that is too intense for your nervous system to process in the moment. We can view bullying, being criticized frequently or publicly, or feeling chronically rejected or abandoned by a caregiver as traumatic. Most of it, if not all, of us will experience trauma at some point in our lives simply because we are human. Trauma is not just a threat to a life as we previously thought. So previously it was thought only people in war who have seen death or they have experienced sexual abuse or accidents, only those were considered trauma. But now there are small traumas like this as well. So only you can tell if it was traumatic Okay. So trauma can be anything that disrupts safety and forces us to reorient and adjust to a new reality. And it is anything that we're not able to cope in that moment. That is true. But the good news is that you can heal. This also had a significant childhood trauma which I healed. I feel like I've healed most of my trauma and I'm very much love myself now. I'm thriving in my life. I'm following my purpose. And yes, there are days when I feel depressed sometimes. And I don't take this word lightly. I do feel depressed some days. But I'm able to cope with it. I'm able to get out of it very quickly now. So you can do. Because there is a reason, and HSPs can heal even better. Just as sensitive people are hit harder by stress, they also get a bigger boost from support and positive experiences, as we discussed in Differential Susceptibility. So, your sensitivity can help you be more self-aware and intuitive, which makes HSPs get more benefit from therapy, mentors and social support. If you build these things into your life, you won't just heal, you will actually come out with even better outcomes than less sensitive people. So HSPs can greatly benefit from therapy and coaching and having that good support system who helps them go inwards and heal. So here I would like to tell you that I do offer personal one-on-one coaching. You can check out the link in the description below. If you want to talk to me one-to-one, do check out the link in the description below. Is it trauma, high sensitivity, or both? You can ask yourself these questions to understand if it's trauma or if you're a highly sensitive person or is it both like I have. So you can ask yourself, do you feel overwhelmed even in happy or calm environments? Because for HSPs, even excitement and joy can lead to overstimulation. So do you feel overwhelmed even in happy, calm environments? Do you have flashbacks, nightmares about a particular event? Do you feel deeply moved by beauty, music, or kindness? Have you noticed that you feel more intensely than others, both positive and negative feelings? Or does your system constantly feel unsafe even when you know you are okay? So take time and journal out these questions. I have also linked a test which you can take to understand if you are experiencing trauma or PTSD. It's a small test on a mental health website, and you can understand if you are experiencing trauma or PTSD symptoms. And then if you feel that is the case, then do approach someone from the mental health space who can help you out with that. And I've also linked HSP test if you want to understand if you're a highly sensitive person or not. And I suggest that you watch my video 10 signs you're a highly sensitive person after this. Understand if you are a highly sensitive person or not. Take the HSP test, take the trauma test, and understand where your sensitivity is coming from. It is very helpful to understand what is going on with you and take help. Ask for help whenever needed. Don't we delay all this. Like, if we have a physical wound on our hand, we will not delay it, right? We will wash it right there and then, and we put a band-aid so that it can heal faster. But with mental health issues, we wait, we delay it so much that leads to bigger problems in our lives, and then it affects our relationships, and it even leads to generations and generations trauma. So help yourself, and when you help yourself by asking for help, you help all the people around you. So take your mental health seriously and do ask for help and take care. Thank you for watching this video. See you next week. Bye.